Yo, what's poppin' everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Zach Lesage here. Today we're going to be going over the top 10 best decks in our standard metagame. These are the decks that have been performing well in our Paradox Rift global events. We've seen events happening in Poland, Australia, Brazil, and of course this week we have regionals in Germany, and next week we have the regionals in the United States. So a lot of really cool things going on. If you want to put your best guesses in the comments below, that would really help boost this YouTube algorithm. Give this video a like, share, subscribe, and let your friends know. The lists are going to be available in the pinned comment below, so copy and paste those into PTCG Live. And if you need any of the cards for this video, check out the description. That being said, let's jump into our number 10 pick. Kicking things off at number 10, we have Fusion Mew. Now, Fusion Mew is, it's always been a kind of top 10-ish deck, and here it's good because it holds its own against a lot of the top decks in the format and new entrants that we have, such as maybe Rapid Strike Urshifu that have been seeing a lot of success. The Setlagor package in this deck allows you to hold your own against dark-type decks that are typically weak to grass, such as Charizard and Roaring Moon. So I do think that this deck has enough going on with it playing a couple Path, it playing a couple Disruption cards, it being able to quickly deal with things when it comes to something like Meloetta, or even just attacking with Mew VMAX. It's versatile enough where it just works, and a deck like this is good. Like, it's not the best deck, which is the reason why it's number 10, but it is a more than capable deck that's just kind of chilling in our metagame right now. Could go deep at either Stuttgart or San Antonio, but right now it's the way that we're going to start off our list. And anything else that's not on this list is going to be below this. But I think like the 10 through 15 mark is probably closer than you think. So if there's any decks that you don't see on this list, let me know what you think about them. Otherwise, let's jump into our number 9 pick. Leaping into our number 9 pick is Iron Valiant EX with Entei V. This deck came second at the Latin American International Championships, and a lot of top players like Henry Brand and Kaiwin Kababe have been seeing success with this deck all around the world. So I mean, it gives me to a point where I'm like, okay, I have to include it within the top 10. A lot of people aren't necessarily flocking to this deck. It might be because it's difficult to play, or that it struggles with late game disruptions such as Iono, Roxanne, Judge, all that great stuff. But a lot of decks are kind of these low HP Pokemon that you can kind of tackle with Tachyon bits, or you might be able to knock something out with a large benched Entei V kind of strategy. So I like how this deck has a two-pronged attack against a lot of the metagame, and that's probably why it's the only Iron Valiant EX build seeing success. So this deck is cool, can be a little bit inconsistent at times, but when this deck does work, it works extremely well, and it is pretty cool. I mean, I just think it's probably the most unique deck that we have on this list. So I really like it, but if you don't like this version of the deck, we got another cool deck on this list for sure. Lost owning its way into number 8 is Tina V-Star. Now, this is a pretty standard build of the deck, and I mean, the biggest change that we might have here is that some lists are playing 1 Cramorant and 2 Sableye. I think there's enough Jirachi in the format where I just rather have 2 Cram, so I'm able to kind of ping things down before I use Lost Impact. This to me is a really standard list, different than the list that just won the regionals. I believe that happened in Malaysia, that had the Roaring Moon. I couldn't necessarily give it to like playing Roaring Moon in this list. I like where I'm at when it comes to playing everything else. I could see the deck cutting a Psychic for a Water, just going 3/3/3 with the 4 Jet Energy. Other than that, I think everything else here is pretty standard when it comes to a list and what we're expecting for a Tina list. Spiritomb is because Mew's been popping up a lot lately. Jirachi's because there's a lot of Lost Zone Box, and Manaphy is pretty staple in this deck just because, again, if you run into Lost Zone Box, or a lot of the other decks that are just seeing success have some kind of snipe element. But yeah, Tina, when it sets up, best deck. If it doesn't set up, there's a reason why it's number 8. So really, really cool choice. But yeah, this is probably the list that I'd be running right now. Blocking its way into our number 7 pick is Block Snorlax Control. Now, this build is kind of it's been kind of taken over the Pokemon community. People are like, hey, let's ban it. This deck is terrible for the game. I think having control elements in the game are quite cool. It might not be fun to play against it, but it's certainly a deck that you can tech around. Pretty standard list from what we've seen, what won the regionals in Poland, the top 8 lists from Brisbane, the top 8 lists from LAIC, and what we've been seeing in online tournaments. The biggest change that's probably in this list is going to be adding in a Mawile and a Defiance Vest. giving us a chance to counter the Minior with Mawile to bring it up, and then you just 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, reducing your 40s on how they can be doing damage to your Mawile. So pretty cool tech here. Nothing super special beyond that. I think the rest of the list is pretty standard, or at least should be kind of standard as we kind of approach through the metagame. Is this deck going to get countered? I mean, you really got to figure out, is it going to get countered or is it not going to get countered? That's kind of where we're at right now. But yeah, pretty cool Snorlax Control deck. And beyond the Mawile and Vest, pretty standard. So I like it. So I might play this one myself. Lost Finding its way into number 6 is Lawson Toolbox. This is kind of an emerging deck, and it's probably something along the lines of what we'll see for a lot of Lawson box decks, where you don't really know what their 60 is going to look like, because we could be taking inspiration from the top 8 list from LAIC, maybe towards top 8 list from Poland. And in this case, we don't play the Origin Form Palkia, we don't play the Kyogre. We're going more of a hybrid turbo version with Iron Hands and Roaring Moon EX. So Iron Hands allowing you to beat the small things, small HP Pokemon, and Roaring Moon allowing you to beat Pokemon that have a large amount of HP. And we can kind of rotate through these with Clara and Palpad and Super Rod to really power them up over and over again. In a world where Kyogre doesn't really do too much to the metagame, and I think that might be the case where we're at right now, this is where we're at. People are playing Manaphy and stuff like that. If it's not going to work out, then maybe you do play that version of the list. So I think this list can include Palkia. This deck can include Kyogre. This deck can include Dragonite V. Like, there's a lot of things that you could include in this deck and take out. But this is kind of the rolling version of Lost Zone Turbo, or Lost Zone Toolbox, as I'll probably call it for right now. But pretty cool list. Definitely can make some changes here or there. Might want to see Water Energies, might not. Overall, I like how the deck plays out, though. Zapping its way into number 5 is going to be Miraidon EX. Miraidon EX taking a lot of inspiration from Yuho's winning list at LAIC, and I mean, they also kind of ran it back, coming 9th place at the regionals in Poland. Miraidon's been having a successful time in our Paradox Rift format. The biggest change that we're adding into this deck is probably a Spiritomb, because Mew is on its way up, going absolutely stonks, and that can be a tough matchup when it comes down to it. Is it better to play Spiritomb, or is it better to play Drapion? That's a question I've been asking myself for a while, but when you have 3 Path to the Peak in your deck and you want to Pathlock your opponent, probably better to play Spiritomb, so when they get out of Pathlock, they then have to deal with Spiritomb on top of that. Everything else about this list is generally pretty standard. I might want to see a little bit more support in this deck, like supporter cards, that is. But I like how the deck's been playing otherwise, and it's been seeing a lot of success for me. So if you're looking to play Miraidon, this is really good. Another Miraidon list that could be cruel is the one that plays a lot more Lightning Energies, and you're just ripping those Iron Hands turn 1. This one might be the bit more of a stable build going forward as we hit more of a diverse metagame into Stuttgart and San Antonio. Jumping into our number 4 pick is Mew VMAX with Path to the Peak. So cutting those Fusion Strike energies, going for more of a control build. This is the build that my pal Tyler played to a cup win in California. So shout out to them for their great success on Mew VMAX. A lot of inspiration when it comes to this list. I think it's actually their exact same 60. You're just like literally getting Mew, Path, Judge, all that great stuff. And if your opponent's not able to do much, Path Judge can really hurt your opponent a lot. And toss in some things like Box of Disaster, you have access to Lost Vacuum to unpath, and then draw some more cards with Genesect as well. I think a lot of people are going to be flocking towards this list in the next couple weeks, especially at Stuttgart. I mean, Europe seems like it's the home of Mew VMAX, so this deck doesn't really get countered by Drapion because of all the Path. I mean, it can, but it does certainly get countered by Spiritomb. So if you're trying to beat this matchup, Spiritomb might be your best friend as we go through there. Spiritomb is probably a hot tech of the week if we were going through anything like that. Burning its way into number 3 is Charizard EX with the Pidgeot EX package. This build has been particularly strong over the past few weeks, and Charizard to many has kind of popped itself into the top decks of the formats. Not really many changes when it comes to this build, kind of basing ourselves off of, I believe it was Robin Schull's list from Poland Regionals. going with the Charmeleon with 90 HP against the Mimikyu that you can knock out. Minior package to beat Snorlax here. I don't play Rotom V because I haven't necessarily found a need for it. And we're playing Level Ball because we have a lot of Pokemon that we can search for. I have decided to cut the 60 HP Charmanders in favor of the 70 HP just due to Rapid Strike, Urshifu, and Iron Valiant EX in the metagame. Everything else about this list is generally pretty standard. I do have a Tool Jammer. Tool Jammer can be quite good against Technical Machine De-Evolution, especially if they don't get an Escape Rope in the mid to late game. It's also good against Miraidon with all of those Bravery Charms and a lot of other techs that are just seeing success in our current metagame. This, to me, is a list that is ready to play at a regionals tomorrow, heavily tested. But if there's any changes you want to make, it's probably worthwhile because Charizard is very close to being perfected at this point. A sneaky surprise going into our number 2 spot is going to be Rapid Strike Urshifu with Inteleon VMAX. This deck has absolutely been popping off lately in the metagame, and a lot of it has to just do with this deck having access to Technical Machine De-Evolution, getting Professor's Turo scenario, and of course Earthen Vessel. So those are the 3 new adds that we've had into this deck. Jirachi is not holding it back nearly as much as we thought it would, and this deck can still hold its own against some decks that play Roaring Moon and some decks that play Iron Hands. The metagame is a little bit different than we thought it was going to be, and now this deck is kind of back. Being able to snipe around using Double Gunner and then de-evolving your opponent's Pokemon however you like, or getting a Yoga Loop turn off, or just being a fighting type deck against a Miraidon deck. This deck really just has a good matchup spread, and as long as you set up and you avoid things like Mew VMAX and Roaring Moon, you're probably in a good spot. I did cut all the techs here to against Snorlax. At one point, you could cut the Heavy Ball and the Escape Rope for my list for a Minior and a Psychic Energy if you want to beat that matchup. Psychic Energy being for Radiant Alakazam. We lose to Snorlax Mew, and we lose to Turbo Roaring Moon. Everything else we're pretty good against, so keep that in mind. What do you think our number 1 deck is going to be, though? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll see what it is momentarily. Psychic embracing its way all the way to the top of the list is Gardevoir EX. Gardevoir EX largely gained the most out of Paradox Rift. A lot of people thought that it was going to be on its way down, but having all the different supporters, including the new Professor Turo scenario, having access to Jirachi, having access to Screamtail, this deck is really just where it's at, and we have a well-chiseled, well-built, well-oiled machine ready to kind of tear things up. Even though Gardevoir is the best deck, it's probably going to be the most counter deck as well. So depending on where it is on the countered scale is where it's going to be seeing the most success or not the most success. Avoid some Iron Hands action, avoid some Rapid Strike Urshifu action, but you also are a Gardevoir deck that has you're well positioned in the top of the metagame. So Gardevoir can always hold its own against most matchups and has enough cool plays that you can make and enough Pokemon that you can attack that gives it a lot of really diverse options. This is a solid list. Give it a try. I do like the Zacian over the Luxurious Cape, but that's something for you to decide if you want to be playing that as well. I just like having more attacking options than having one big attacking option at the end with Screamtail or Gardevoir. It gives you don't have to necessarily balance as much, which is helpful for me when I'm playing this deck. So, do you like this deck? Do you think this deck is number 1? Let me know in the comments below. Let me close things out. And that's what we got going on for this video today. Hopefully you enjoyed learning more about the metagame and seeing all these awesome decks. Did I get the top 10 lists right? Let me know in the comments below. Totally would love to have a conversation with you. I do get back to every single comment pretty quickly as well. And again, if you are trying to copy and paste these lists, they are available in the pinned comment below. So be sure to check that out in the comments. Give that a like, give this video a like. Share, subscribe, all that great stuff. If you want to support the Shuffle Squad more, check out our sponsors that are available in the description. PTCGL Store, Atlas Collectibles, and Deco Gaming, all are great places to get your digital and your physical Pokemon TCG needs, or any kind of needs at all. So check them out using the discounts available. If you want to support us more, we have now long form articles on our Patreon at patreon.com/TSSWin. That being said, I'll catch up with y'all later on, but there's lots of great content always going on at the Shuffle Squad, so check us out on all of our social media, but stay tuned on the channel for more great content. Peace out and have a great one. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes. Hey trainers, tired of having too many cards lying around? I know that feeling, and I know what a hassle it is to try and sell those cards. But selling bulk is now easier than ever with TCG Bulk. Find tons of potential buyers in a single place. You just download the app, look for the best buyer near you, and carefully pack your bulk, ship it, and you get paid. It really is that simple. Turn the cards you don't want into the cards you absolutely need for your next deck. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.